The night my son-in-law told me to grab your junk and get out. He was standing on imported Italian marble that I had paid for. He just didn't know it yet. Rain lashed against the towering windows of the mansion, thunder shaking the chandeliers that cost more than my first house. My daughter, Melissa, stood pale and trembling beside him, and Trevor, my polished, sharp-suited, snake-smiling son-in-law, thought he had just won. He thought I was the old man, overstaying his welcome. He thought I was powerless. He forgot one small detail. I owned every inch of that mansion. But before I tell you how that night ended, you need to understand how we got there. The Golden Boy. When Melissa first introduced Trevor to me 5 years earlier, I'll admit I was impressed. He was articulate, ambitious, and carried himself like someone who expected the world to bend for him. He worked in real estate development and claimed to have big plans. He spoke about investment portfolios and urban expansions like a man twice his age. I built my wealth quietly over 30 years in commercial property leasing. Strip malls, office parks, warehouses, not glamorous but stable. Brick by brick, contract by contract, I built an empire no one noticed. Trevor noticed. He asked smart questions at dinner. He complimented my business model. He studied me. I should have realized then, predators don't always bare their teeth. When they married, I gifted them something extraordinary. A 12,000 square foot mansion on the edge of the city. A wedding present, I called it. But here's what no one knew. I never transferred the title. It stayed in my holding company. A precaution, maybe. Or maybe I simply didn't trust easily. Cracks in the glass. For the first year, everything looked perfect. Luxury cars, lavish parties, social media pictures of champagne sunsets and curated happiness. But I began noticing changes in Melissa. She called less, laughed less. When I visited, Trevor always hovered, answered questions for her, corrected her stories, a subtle tightening of control. Then came the phone call that cracked everything open. It was 11:43 p.m. "Dad," she whispered, "can you come tomorrow?" Her voice carried something I hadn't heard since she was 16 and scared of thunderstorms. Fear. The discovery. I arrived unannounced the next afternoon. The housekeeper let me in. Trevor wasn't home. Melissa sat at the kitchen island, staring at her phone like it had betrayed her. "He's cheating," she said flatly. No tears, no hysteria, just a quiet breaking truth. She showed me messages, photos, hotel receipts. Trevor wasn't just unfaithful, he was sloppy. And arrogant. "He says I'm overreacting," she whispered. "He says I should be grateful for the lifestyle." That sentence told me everything. I felt something cold settle inside me. Not anger. Calculation. The confrontation. Trevor came home at 6:17 p.m. He froze when he saw me sitting in the living room. "Well," he smirked, "family meeting." Melissa stood up. "I know." His jaw tightened for half a second, then he laughed. "You went through my phone." "You lied to me," she said. He didn't deny it. He didn't apologize. Instead, he rolled his shoulders and glanced at me like I was a minor inconvenience. "With all due respect, Raymond, this is between me and my wife." I said nothing. Silence unnerves guilty people. Melissa's voice shook. "How long?" Trevor sighed dramatically. "You're blowing this out of proportion. Men have needs." I watched my daughter flinch like she'd been slapped. That's when I stood up. "You'll pack a bag," I said calmly, "and you'll leave tonight." He stared at me. Then he laughed. "You don't get to tell me what to do in my house." His house. That word echoed. I kept my tone steady. "Leave." His face darkened. "Why don't you grab your junk and get out, old man?" Melissa gasped. The air felt electric. Trevor stepped closer, chest puffed. "This is my home, you're a guest, don't forget that." I held his gaze. "I don't forget details," I said quietly. "The truth unfolds." Trevor didn't leave. Instead, he poured himself a drink. Melissa ran upstairs in tears. He leaned casually against the marble counter. "You think you can intimidate me?" he sneered. "Everything here, I built this life." I pulled out my phone. "Not to argue. To make a call." "Mr. Collins," I said when my attorney answered, "please email the property documents to Trevor Harding. Yes, now." Trevor frowned. "What are you doing?" I didn't answer. His phone buzzed seconds later. He glanced down. Then again. His smirk faded. He scrolled faster. "What is this?" "Read it," I replied. His face drained of color. This says the property is owned by Harding Commercial Holdings." "Yes." "And that's your company." "Yes." Silence. Heavy. Impossible to ignore. "You never transferred it," he demanded. "No." "You said it was a wedding gift." "It was," I replied, "to my daughter." Understanding dawned slowly, like a man realizing the ground beneath him isn't solid. "You've been living here under a revocable residential agreement," I continued. "One I can terminate." He swallowed. "You can't just throw me out." "I can." I stepped closer. "And I will." The snarl turns to panic. Trevor's bravado cracked. "This is manipulation," he snapped. "You're using money to control us." "No," I said calmly. "I'm protecting my daughter." Melissa came downstairs slowly, confusion written across her face. "What's happening?" Trevor turned to her, desperate. "He's threatening to evict us." "Not us," I corrected. "Him." I handed Melissa a folder. Inside was a trust document I had created the week of her wedding. The house would transfer fully to her name in 5 years, provided there were no legal or financial entanglements from Trevor. A safeguard. A father's quiet insurance policy. You planned this," Trevor stammered. "I prepared," I replied. The final blow. Trevor tried anger. Then bargaining. Then insults. But documents don't bend to tantrums. Within 48 hours, I initiated formal eviction proceedings under breach of occupancy agreement. The cheating evidence didn't matter legally. The ownership did. Trevor moved out under a storm of humiliation. Friends stopped calling him. Business partners distanced themselves when rumors spread about misrepresenting assets. Because here's another detail he forgot. The cars were leased under my corporate account. The membership at the country club. Mine. The credit line funding his developments. Guaranteed by me. When I withdrew support, his empire collapsed like wet cardboard. Aftermath. Melissa stayed. Not because of the house, but because she finally saw the truth. We sat on the back patio weeks later, the air calm and quiet. "I feel stupid," she admitted. "You're not," I said. "You loved someone who performed well." She nodded slowly. "Did you always know?" "I always suspected," I answered honestly. "Confidence without humility is dangerous." She looked out over the manicured lawn. "I thought he was strong." "Strength doesn't humiliate," I said gently. "It protects." Trevor's last attempt. 3 months later, Trevor requested a meeting. I agreed in my office. Neutral ground. He looked thinner, edgier. "I made mistakes," he began. "Yes. I want another chance. With Melissa. With stability. Honesty at last." "You built nothing," I told him evenly. "You leveraged appearances." He clenched his jaw. You destroyed me. No, I said calmly. You overestimated yourself. He left without shaking my hand. I haven't seen him since. The mansion feels different now. Melissa eventually sold the property. We split the proceeds into investments under her sole control. She started her own interior design firm. Small, independent, self-made. She laughs again. And when she does, it sounds real.